Hey guys, and welcome to this pre-digital classroom broadcast. We are waiting for YouTube to catch up, and we see that the stream is healthy. We did change some things around, so everything should be smooth sailing from now on, which means no more problems with connecting to Facebook and YouTube, until of course they change everything around like last time. But I think we finally nailed the problem. Now, the problem was actually very simple. We use credentials, and those credentials are stored in Wirecast. And those credentials, and I never realized that, they have to be refreshed within half an hour, which is actually ridiculous, because why within half an hour if I already put in the credentials? But you know what? If they want it like this, they're gonna get it. So this is the pre-digital classroom broadcast. Now, what is a pre-digital classroom? Very, very simple. We're gonna do digital classroom today. One moment, Anne, can you please raise the light again, because otherwise I have big shadows. That's why the light was so high.
Yeah, but your eyes look very sad now.
So I am sad, you know that. She said that because the light was so high that my eyes are actually looking sad. So we are setting up the lights just a little bit at the moment. We're still changing some stuff around, but I want to give you some tips before we go online. Now, one of the most asked questions to me is tethering. That's important. But how do you make sure that your camera stays safe? Now, don't think he's going to talk about the jerk stopper from Tether Tools. Actually, I am, but I'm also going to give you some other tips. I'm going to show you first what the jerk stopper from Tether Tools actually is. We also have some people on the chat. Hey, Peter. Hi, good morning. Now, this is my camera, Sony a7R II. Great camera, awesome. The only problem is, and a lot of cameras have this problem, they have these tiny little USB connectors. And those tiny little USB connectors, they break down very, very easily. If you put the cable in and you just wiggle them around a little bit, they're gone. And it's like a €600-700 repair, so that's very expensive. Tether Tools has a solution for this called the jerk stopper. And that's actually this little device that you put on your camera, and you also put one of those on your cable. You connect them together, you put your cable into your connector, of course, and then you have a solid connection. The problem is the connection is a little bit too solid. And I found out 2 weeks ago the hard way, and I literally mean the hard way. So I was shooting, and one of the students, always blame somebody else, was standing on the cable. I picked up my camera from the floor. Always put your camera on the floor, never put it somewhere else, because somebody can, well, hook on your cable and actually throw your camera on the floor. So I had it on the floor. One of my students, always blame somebody else, was standing on the cable, and because I lifted my camera up, I didn't notice that there was no slack on the cable. So what happens, I was at this height and the camera literally got janked out of my hands and fell on the floor. Yeah, that wasn't a nice view, and I hated that sound, so I never ever want to hear that again. And you know those moments when you see everything in slow motion, you go like, no, and you hear it falling on the floor and you go like, it's like, oh no. And you're going like, if I just leave it there, will it stay okay? Or if I pick it up, will it be broken? Well, I was pretty lucky. The lens was okay, the body was okay, but my USB port, not okay. Totally damaged. So my own camera is now at Sony, and they were nice enough to lend me this one. Thank you so very much, Sony. And I never want that to happen again. But that's something that you learn during your experience, right? It has to happen once, and then actually you learn from it. Now, some people might say, okay, then is Tether Tools safe? Yes, it is incredibly safe, because that one time it went wrong, there were at least a gazillion times where the jerk stopper actually saved my camera. But one time it will go wrong. Now, of course you learn, and this is where the tip is about. I actually went to our friends from Camera Nu and I bought this one. And this is a strap from, let me see the brand. It's from Optec USA. Optec. So, we're not sponsored by Optec, but I still want to show you Optec. And it's pretty cool. You can just disconnect it like this, and of course connect it again. Let me see doing that with one hand. There we go. And the cool thing about this one is you just wrap it around your wrist and it's elastic. And this is very important. Don't get one that's, for example, like a hand strap, because then if you don't have any slack in your camera, you will probably literally jerk your jerk stopper totally off, meaning there will be too much tension on the camera, and because the camera is fixed on your hand and your hand is actually, or your arm is much stronger than the connection with the jerk stopper, you will probably yank your jerk stopper off, destroy your port, and you're far away from home. That's a Dutch expression, by the way. I don't know if that translates back in English. So the cool thing about this one is because it's elastic, you'll actually feel the tension, and now I actually feel this. So the camera will actually fall down like this, and there will be no damage to the ports. So get one of those, and it will probably save your camera the next time. And it's literally, it's cheap. It's about, I believe, 20 euros. So it's a cheap solution. Okay, let me see. We are on the chat, and at the moment there are no questions, and that was to be expected, of course, because it is still early, and that's why I want to tell something else to you guys. We have set up everything for Digital Classroom, and Digital Classroom is, of course, something that we love to do. It's a live broadcast in which I share tips, I show you a live shoot, but it's not a workshop. It's literally a live shoot. And what is a live shoot? Well, it started a long time ago with just one webcam, which we dragged around the studio to show different setups, and people were actually staying awake for 5-6 hours to see what we were doing in the studio. It has grown just a little bit. We're now using 5 cameras instead of one webcam that we dragged around the studio. But it's not a workshop. It's just you guys watching over my shoulder during a photo shoot. Now, the workshops are way more intense, and so are the instructional videos. And I want to give some attention to a workshop we have coming up that's actually, I think, incredibly interesting for you guys. And that is our workshop called Ultimate Workshop Weekend. This is in February 24th and 25th in Emmeloord in our studio. And you see the title, Put the Magic in Your Lighting? That's exactly what it is. What I'm going to teach you in those 2 days is everything you want to know about lighting, about coaching your model. We're going to do single shoots, duo shoots. We're going to give you a lot of information about retouching, business, and all the other funky stuff. And we take you out to dinner, and all the lunches are here, and we even pay for one night in a hotel for you guys, and we pick you up. So it's a really cool deal. Now, the thing is, this is the last week of the early bird. Normally this workshop retails for $7.99, and there's no hotel included. But only this week left, I'm gonna put it on screen again for you guys. Only this week, and this is really cool, we have an early bird registration for $6.99, and that includes the hotel. So $6.99 gives you the total 2-day workshops and the hotel. And as soon as we're done with this early bird, the price will be $7.99 without the hotel. So make sure that you register as soon as possible if you want to learn a lot about model photography in 2 days. The other workshop we have coming up, and that's equally important, of course, is New York. My favorite place to shoot, my favorite place to be. I have a lot of friends in New York, so we're always looking forward to going to New York. And this time we're actually in the studio from Nieuw van Nieuwkerk. Awesome studio, great studio inside, even better outside. A lot of grungy areas, a lot of cool stuff. So we're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there with something really special. Let me see, let me switch over very quickly. New Jersey workshop. We're gonna be there on April 30th. And we have a very special model with us. For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, actually, it is the first time ever she's gonna be in America. But for the first time ever, I'm gonna build up the tension a little bit. We're gonna bring Nadine. Yes. And Nadine will be with me at Photoshop World in Orlando the week before. And on April 30th, she will be with me in New York for the workshop. Now, if you know Nadine and you know Nadine's work, you already know this is gonna be freaking awesome. This is gonna be one of the best workshops ever. So very quickly, some information which you can see online. And the early bird is $350. And also this workshop ends this week. So no more early bird after this week. And the final workshop I wanna point out to you guys is actually the Ultimate Weekend, also with Nadine. on June 10 and 11th in Amersham in the UK. And that's just £5.75 in pounds. And be sure to do it quick before the Brexit actually turns away the UK all the way from Europe. And that was just a joke, guys. We love the UK. And let me go back to the main camera. So all these workshops you can actually, let me switch back to the camera. There we go. All the workshops you can actually find on my website. And the website is, of course, www.frankdoorhof.com. Let me put that on the screen. I'm doing everything myself now, so that's why you see me looking at the screen constantly. And Anouk, you had a question from Facebook?
No, tell about your new video about New York.
Oh yeah, we have a new video out about New York. Now, I told you guys already, I absolutely love New York. And we've been visiting there for a few times, and it's always a mesmerizing place. It's a place where you walk around and you go like, if you can't make a great picture in New York, stop photography. I kid you not, stop photography. For the very simple reason, if I hang a camera around my neck and just walk around New York, boom, 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 every picture will be great. Well, there won't be great pictures, but there's so much going on. It's amazing. If I go through Emmeloord with my camera, yeah. If I can make a great picture in Emmeloord, I'm a great photographer, because it's a great city, but there's not much going on. And New York is like the carnival coming to town 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's amazing. Now, the thing is that a lot of people started asking me like, okay, I love your images of New York. Where did you shoot this? Where did you shoot that? Where did you shoot that? And I was just going like, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if we don't just take a camera with us and film techniques like, okay, change your lenses, change your position, you can talk with people on the street, you can do this kind of stuff, find the stage and the place will come, all that kind of stuff. So normally our videos are jam-packed with information about photography. And we wanted to do the same thing. So we want to jam-pack that video with information about photography, but what we also want to do is jam-pack that video with information that you normally don't find. Now, when you think about New York, what's the first thing? Times Square, Brooklyn Bridge. I hear a lot of stuff coming on. Of course, I don't hear you guys, but think with me, right? So, New York, Statue of Liberty, Chrysler Building, Empire State Building, Grand Central, those are the dead giveaways. Central Park. And we, of course, did shoot there, and we took some tips there and whatnot. But the most interesting stuff is actually not in those places. It's, for example, Canal Street, and that's Chinatown. But if you think that's the Chinatown, it's actually the Chinatown close to Manhattan with Little Italy. There's another Chinatown, and that's way more interesting for photographers, but a lot of people don't know it. Then we went to a neighborhood, Borough Parks, with a lot of Hasidic Jews, and that's an amazing place to shoot. People were incredibly nice, but it's not really a touristy place. We visited the Amityville house, the horror house. Wow, amazing. So it actually was a house. It was not really amazing, but the video is really cool. We visited Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash, and it's really a secret stash. And if you're into comic books, only that scene alone will literally rock your mind, because it's a really cool place. And we tell you about the water taxi, which actually brings you under the Brooklyn Bridge instead of going with a cruise that's way more expensive. We tell you about Top of the Rocks and a lot more. Plus the video is jam-packed with information about street and travel photography. And the nicest thing, it's about 100 minutes and it retails for 25 euros. So we always try to keep those prices low. Anyway, so I think we have a really cool test, and Facebook was on par, I think. YouTube looks pretty well. I can see that here. We're now online for almost 14 minutes and it still works. Anthony says, evening, Frank. It's actually morning here, Anthony, but evening to you. And so great to see you guys online. And in just a few hours, 3 o'clock for us, that's in about 3 hours, we'll start the live broadcast of Digital Classroom with Ingrid. We don't have a clue what we're going to do, but it's going to be, of course, Digital Classroom. So that means that we're going to be creative and we're going to create some cool stuff. So thank you so very much for watching. Now, this is your final chance. If you have a question, put it on Facebook or on the YouTube channel. Oh, there are some questions. Yes, in a week.
The there's a problem with the audio. It seems like the fan is making a lot of noise.
Yeah, the fan you will hear at the moment. During Digital Classroom you won't hear the fans because now I'm sitting very close to the mixer and that actually makes noise. So as soon as I move away you won't hear the mixer anymore. And as long as the audio isn't clipping, well, we're going to check that in a moment. So we are recording this to check everything if it's okay, but don't worry. The fan noise will be gone during the broadcast because I'm now literally sitting next to a mixer that makes a lot of noise.
And the other question is, what do you like best, Lightroom or Photoshop?
What do I like best, Lightroom or Photoshop? Yeah, they're totally different. So Lightroom is a program where my images live. It's the place where I store my images, where I make smart albums, where I give keywords, where I use the map. And according to a lot of people at Adobe, I'm the only person in the world using maps, but I love maps. I just love seeing where I've been. And I love Photoshop for retouching. So Lightroom is where my images live. Photoshop is where I create my images. So can you do with only Lightroom? Yes, you can. You can do raw conversion in Lightroom. You can do adjustment brushes in Lightroom. You can do cloning in Lightroom, although I think that's where I draw the line. Cloning in Lightroom absolutely doesn't work for me. And why, I don't know. I'm just very used to cloning and healing in Photoshop. Now, within Lightroom, you have to realize that Lightroom is a raw converter. And what a raw converter does in essence is all your images you create on your camera are raw files, ones and zeros. Those ones and zeros have to be converted into something called a JPEG or a TIFF or the file size that your client needs. That's what Lightroom can do. That's what a raw converter does. Now, the thing is that in Photoshop, you have options to really retouch your images, do some stuff with cloning, healing, cropping, and a lot of that turns over also to Lightroom. But Photoshop is just, it works with layers, the plugins are much nicely integrated. It's more like a workflow preference. I always tell people if you have to do a lot, go to Photoshop. If you only have to adjust just a little bit, stay in Lightroom. Now, Anthony actually said, why not both? Why not? If you get a Creative Cloud subscription, sorry, I was looking for the word, I'm Dutch. So if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you have both. You have Lightroom and Photoshop. Now, a lot of people tell me, okay, I keep my images on my hard drive in folders. I don't need Lightroom. I don't need anything else. Trust me, as soon as you collect some images over the years, you will love Lightroom. Now, as a raw converter, there are many other options. For example, DxO, optics, you can actually connect in Lightroom. So you can export to DxO optics, get a way better quality and workflow than Lightroom itself. Still cloning, no way. And go back into Lightroom. So it's like a seamless integration. The other thing is, of course, Capture One. In my opinion, the best raw converter and also the best tethering software. So there are many, many options. If you just start out photography and if you think like, okay, this is way too much for me, stay in Lightroom. If you're a little bit further, add Photoshop. And the cool thing is, if you have a Creative Cloud subscription, you have both. So you have Lightroom and you have, of course, Photoshop. Any more questions, Annemiek?
No, but you need to get the Frank Doorhof out of the
Oh, I need to get my Frank
How do
Doorhof
you
out
do
of the
that?
video. There we go. So we just press here.
Oh, press that.
And there we go. So also Wirecast is working with layers. Annemiek is now sitting next to me. She wants to learn how Wirecast works. And the cool thing about Wirecast is we can put all these labels. So for example, if you want to get some information about Mac Fun, we can just put it under me. If you want to know our YouTube channel, you can do it over here and I can actually see what I'm doing. If you want to buy my presets, I'm just showing off. You can do it, of course, here. And the best thing is, of course, you guys have to support us on Patreon. Because Patreon actually makes it, together with our sponsors, BenQ and Rogue, possible that we deliver this stuff to you guys. Okay, so let's take this one out. Okay, Annemiek, do you have any more questions on Facebook?
No.
Okay, we don't have any questions on YouTube too. So we are ready for Digital Classroom. We're looking forward to it and seeing you guys online in a little bit over 2.5 hours. See you and enjoy Digital Classroom this afternoon. Bye, guys.